We've had a great week here at Lake of the Ozarks State Park in central Missouri, and now it's time to head home.
Off we go. So we've packed up our campsite here at beautiful Lake of the Ozarks. We've put everything in the car, and it all fit in this tiny little Model 3. But as you can see, it's a really nice place, and we're ready to go now.
We plugged in to the shore power over here when we got here. We only have a 110 plug. We only have the level 1 plug for the car. We need to get an adapter for level 2. And we only gained just a little bit of juice while we were here at the campsite. Then we checked into a cabin for 3 days, and then we came back to the campsite and we had a bunch of driving around. So our battery when we got back to the campsite was at 36%, and as it stands right now, it's around 67, 68. I'm gonna go in and do some route planning, and we'll figure out the plan from here. So the car actually got to 69%. Because of that, we may be able to skip, or should be able to skip, the charger at Osage Beach. I'm gonna navigate home. It wants us to stop at Springfield, which we do want to do, then Joplin, and then Tulsa, but then it wants us to do this extra long trip between Tulsa and Denison, and from there we're going to make it change its mind, because with our car, with our battery degradation, and the fact that we'd have to charge almost to 100%, it's saying that we'd have to sit there for an hour. And that's just a version 2 supercharger, and we're planning on going through Oklahoma City anyway. So we won't be going through Denison. When we get here, we're probably going to change the route. So it looks like we can skip the charger here in Osage Beach. We'll make it to the Buc-ee's in Springfield with 27% state of charge, and we're going to hit the road. Unlike part 1, where we did it in 2 days because of our check-in time at this campsite, the plan is to do it all in one day. So it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 640 miles. This is going to be our longest single day road trip with this Model 3 so far. I know people have gone further than that in one day, but for us, it's going to be a new record. And this is going to be a test, another test for us to see if the car can do what we want it to do. We've got a lot of miles to drive in a couple of months when we go to Charlottesville, Virginia. And so we're going to be disciplining ourselves. This car doesn't stay at these charge stops that long, so I probably won't be getting that much footage at the charge stops. We'll cover the plugging in and all of that stuff, but any commentary that we have to do, we'll probably do on the road so that we don't lose any time. With that, off we go. This is going to be our first charging stop on this trip back home. And there they are, the pretty little new superchargers. And we are plugged in. Blue, 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 blue. And click. There we are, we're charging. We rolled in at 27%, yeah, and that is what the car says, 27%. 7 minutes to continue the trip, so hopefully Rachel can make it out of the Buc-ee's in time. What are we doing on power? We're up to 140 kilowatt hours. 149 for a second, there was some dust there, but now it's dropping down. on the way to our camp out, this Buc-ee's was very, very crowded. It was a Saturday when we were on our way to the campground. It's Thursday now, and it's still pretty busy, but it's not as crowded as it was on Saturday. Let me kind of show you. Parking lot is still pretty full, a lot of traffic, but right now where it's just us and a lonely Model Y at this charger, and we're not going to be here that long. When I plugged in, the car said 7 minutes to go to make it to the next supercharger in Joplin, which is why I dropped Rachel off at the door of the Buc-ee's to try to save some time. She's gonna fill up our drink cups and get us a couple of sandwiches, and then we'll be on the road. We stopped about 25 miles ago at a rest area because we could probably make it in and out of the restrooms there faster than here, because it's quite a walk to the Buc-ee's door. Show you that shot again. It's all the way over there. But check out this charging installation. We've got all of these units down here nobody's at, and all of these units is just us and that one Model Y. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like 16 total units here, and I'm guessing these are the version 4 superchargers, so you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but they don't look like the superchargers I'm used to. The handles are fairly new. I mean, these are obviously newer. And here's a Model X pulling in. Sweet. So I'm going to get Fiona out, let her stretch her legs a little bit. We'll wait for Rachel, and we'll probably be ready to go by the time she shows up. The car now says we have enough to continue the trip. I got the message. It's showing us arriving at Joplin at 19%. That's what it said when I got Fiona in the car, but I still have no sign of Rachel. My plan is to stay plugged in until I see her, and then we'll unplug, and as she hops in the car, we'll get back on the road. There she is. And we're ready to go. It now says 25% on arrival. Let Rachel get into car. I take the thing. I'm going to go ahead and unplug us. Next stop, Joplin, Missouri. We'll give you some updates on the road between here and there. Hang on.
So we just came from a week-long vacation in the Ozarks. We stayed at Lake of the Ozarks Campground.
Lake of the Ozarks State Park's campground.
Park, yeah.
And I cannot get over how big that state park was.
Yeah, it was really, there were a lot of windy roads. Anytime you wanted to go somewhere, you had to go the long way around. And there were people living on roads that were within the state park. It was really convoluted.
Yeah, but I mean, we stayed in and around the state park, and we would drive to different places. We spent one night tent camping.
Yep.
And then the plan had been to stay in one of their cabins. Their what they call their outpost cabins that they have at the park.
The cabins have electricity but no plumbing.
Right, and they're, air conditioning and stuff, which is great in July, but they were booked for a couple of the days that we were going to be there. So we tent camped the first night, and then we checked into the cabin, and the plan was to stay in the cabin for 2 days. And the cabin and the campsite were like 8 miles apart, but it was a 20-minute drive to get from the campgrounds to the cabins. Because of weather, we had the opportunity to stay in the cabin an extra night, so we did. So we were in the cabin for a thunderstorm instead of in a tent. Which was better.
It was nice. And we were also there for the hottest day, so we were able to go inside in the air conditioning when we got overheated, which was really nice. It was really a very nice campground. We had a great time.
And then we tent camped last night because our cabin had already been booked by somebody else. So we checked out and then set up camp again for one night, and then tore down camp, put everything in our car. But we did like 3 hikes that were 1.5 to 2 mile hikes through some of the woods around the lake. Sometimes we got up real close to the lake. Rachel got to go to Ozark Caverns. Mm-hmm. Now that was almost a 50-minute drive from the cabin, but about 20 miles, 25 miles, something like that.
The caverns were really cool, by the way. We had a great time.
Learned a lot of stuff. You had to have lanterns and stuff going through the caverns.
Yeah. Luke didn't get to go because they do not allow pets.
And I have Fiona, so.
Yeah, just sad.
But an extra trip or two to the grocery store, and with an extra charge at that supercharger at Osage Beach outside the supercharger, we ended up putting over 200 miles on the car while we were there.
Yeah, just because everything was so far apart, we kept having to drive to do things.
And I'm just not used to a state park being that large. I'm used to a national park being that large, but not a state park.
Yeah, Texas state parks are not that big usually.
But the weather was nice, and you know, there were times that it got hot, but we had ways to get out of the heat, which was cool. And we were able to visit and kind of get in touch with a lot of nature and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Play some card games in the cabin.
Yeah, yeah.
And Rachel won the first one.
Oh, the card game, yeah. I won once, and Luke won the second one.
And it was, but we were all close, all three of us. So that was cool. But we're doing a slightly different thing with the way that we're shooting this road trip video, because the purpose of us getting this car was a 1,200 plus one-way road trip from our home to Charlottesville, Virginia, that we've got coming up in about 2 months.
Yeah.
And we need to see if we can pull off a 700-mile day or close to it. How tired that makes us. The Bolt could not do that because of the charge speed, and it would take too long. We would have to drive the whole 1,200 miles straight through without a break, and I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
Those of you that can do it, my hat's off to you. I can't.
Yeah.
So we got this car specifically because it could charge faster, and at the time we were able to get a really good deal. And while we were on this camp out, I found out that Inside EVs picked up one of our videos, the range test that I did on this car, and wrote an article about one of our videos. So
Thanks,
to all of
Inside
you
EV.
to all of you viewers who joined the channel and subscribed to the channel because of that article, welcome.
Hi.
But we wanted to get this car because it charged faster. We were able to get a good deal on it. And we're finding out that we're so used to how long we'd be at a charge stop with the Bolt that
we're having to change our habits and learn how to get our stuff done faster and not dilly-dally, because this car charges so quickly,
and
that
there's no futzing around with the apps, and like that one we had in Mississippi last year with the Bolt, where we lost almost 45 minutes trying to get a charger to activate, and then had to go across the freeway.
That does happen sometimes.
We won't, but it hasn't happened with this car.
Only with the other kinds of cars. Yeah.
The Chargers have had empty spots even on the very busy weekend that we were on our way out. I'm going to have a video coming up probably next week that's going to be a comparison of real world versus a better route planner on this trip, using this trip as the litmus test for it. How accurate was a better route planner on the estimated time, kilowatt hours, and cost.
For those of you who don't know, A Better Route Planner is an app that plans routes. And
also, I'm going to report to you on how full the chargers were by comparison. We've had a very seamless charging experience, and we could have left probably, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 minutes before we did from that Buc-ee's.
Right.
We tried to maximize the time. I dropped Rachel off to go in, get drinks, get sandwiches, come back out. The car had been done for a couple of minutes. So now, instead of arriving at about 19% in Joplin, it's going to be about 25%. So that might take a little bit of time off of our charge stop coming up in Joplin.
Yep.
But because of wanting to make our actual time stopped less, we're going to be doing kind of the commentary about the charges this way as we're on the road, so we're still making miles to see, because this is going to be close to 650 miles today, which is what we want to do on the first day of this big road trip in a couple of months.
Right.
So we'll check in at our next charge stop, which is in Joplin, Missouri. It's 68 miles up the road. We should be able to just get a splash of juice there before we move on to Catoosa, just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, at the Hard Rock Casino. That's a version 2 supercharger, so it is going to might take a little bit longer.
Slower, yeah.
So we're off, and enjoy this travel montage.
Looks like we've got 26% battery, and it is 1:48 p.m., 85 degrees Fahrenheit.
Got 1,018 miles on the trip so far, and 79 miles since the last charger. So let's go get plugged in.
There you go.
It was raining when we were here before. I believe this is a version 2 supercharged. No, it's a version 3. It's got the black handle. Okay, cool. We're flashing blue and we're green. We're charging 62, 73, 95, 115, 135, 154, 160, 159. So that's about where we're going to level off because we're not at that sweet spot. 11 minutes to continue the trip. So where this is at a come and go gas station convenience store. Gas is $3.15.9 here. And we're looking at 3 Model Ys here besides us. 4 available chargers. And Fiona is seeing another dog in the distance and wants to bark. Should have right about 2 minutes left. And that's where we're at when we've both finished hitting the restroom. We are currently getting 88 kilowatts, so we've really ramped down. We're sitting at 62%. We'll get to the supercharger in Tulsa at 12. It says 1 minute to go. The next supercharger is in the suburb of Catoosa, which is on the east side of Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. So between here and there is I think it's the Will Rogers Turnpike, and the turners from there to Oklahoma City. It's one of those. So hopefully the dog doesn't need to get out in the middle of the turnpike again. And we have to have her whimper until we can find an exit. But the next charger's at that Hard Rock Casino, and there I've got to play with the route because it still wants me to go through Denison, which is that really long stretch, and I don't want to take a stretch that long. And it's calculating. I'm about to get the message. Pretty sure I'm about to get the message. There we go. Have enough energy to continue the trip. It says we'll arrive at 21%. It just went straight up 6%. So we're going to go ahead and unplug. Load up the dog and we'll be back on the road. Next images that you will see are on the turnpike between here and Tulsa. Version 2 supercharger. All right, so we are plugged in, getting our blue lights. Tessie says charging has started. Oh, there's the green light. Okay. We got here at an 18% state of charge. It says 35 minutes to continue the trip. Problem is, I do not want to go to Denison. I want to go to Oklahoma City. So I'm going to end the trip. I'm going to find chargers. And the one that I want to find, because see, there's nothing here. I don't want to go that far without a charge. So we're going to go here to Oklahoma City, and I'm going to navigate to this charger right here. We stopped there on the way out. This is the by that really nice grocery store. So I'm going to navigate to that. Then I'm going to edit the trip, and I'm going to add a stop of home afterwards. Yeah, Oklahoma City, and then Ardmore wants us to skip the Buc-ee's in Fort Worth. And it said 9:57 p.m. Before I did that. It added 3 minutes, and here's where that time came from. Now it's only 15 minutes remaining to continue the trip instead of 35. We'll have a 25-minute charge here in Oklahoma City and a 35-minute charge here in Ardmore. If we can make it to Ardmore before we need dinner, that would be great, because there are food places there. Check this out. So in the back of this casino, there's a golf course over there. There's the Tesla supercharger here, 8 stalls, and then there's this fast charging station for CCS vehicles. Looks like they've got one CCS unit that Ioniq 5 is charging at, and then these others are just J1772s for level 2 charging. But the Tesla navigation routed us all the way around to the back. So there's a clubhouse over there that might be a restroom. I'm going to check in with Rachel, see what she wants to do. But it looks like we're going to be here for about 15 minutes, and then we'll be back on the road to Oklahoma City. Getting 134, now 133 kilowatts, 10 minutes to go on the charge. So even though this is a version 2 with our car, it doesn't affect us too much, because we could only get a little bit more than this thing can put out. I think it would have maxed at 150, and I didn't get that on camera. Let's go down to some trip stats, and you can see we've gone 1,116 miles on this trip so far, used up 280 kilowatt hours of electricity, and our average efficiency for the whole trip is 251 watt hours per mile. And that's just going to be a hair's breadth below 4 miles per kilowatt hour, and a lot of this is at 75 miles an hour. The last leg, which was all interstate, is 261 watt hours per mile. So really good efficiency so far. We have enough charge to continue the trip. Right now it says 17% on arrival in Oklahoma City, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug. And we are back on the road to Oklahoma City. I have done a little bit of calculation. At our charge stop in Joplin, I noted the gasoline price, and if we had filled up our we likely would have filled up our Subaru there if we were in the Crosstrek. Now, the car that this Model 3 replaced was a 2019 Subaru Crosstrek that got about 27 miles per gallon. On that fuel economy, so far for the entire trip from when we left home this past Saturday, we would have used up $118.79 to pay for gasoline to get to that come and go back in Joplin. And with the charge cost for this Model 3, we have spent $66.43 at the superchargers. Now, we did charge overnight at the hotel that's across the freeway from us on our way out for free, and we got a little bit of power from the campsite for free. So we're not going to be that close to 50% by the time we get home, but it is going to be a pretty decent savings. And really, we're not at these charge stops that long. These are stops that we would have had to make for restrooms or whatever anyway. So time-wise, we're doing pretty okay. Enjoy the scenery of the Turner Turnpike from Tulsa to Oklahoma City. made it. 12% state of charge. So let's go ahead and get plugged in. Charger number 3A, grab the charger, and plugged in. Version 3 charger, got the blue flashing lights, and green. That's a quick handshake. Okay, ramping up. 37, 43, 40, 55. There goes the Model S. 79, 92. We cat in at 12%. We should get to 170 here real quick. And it says 13 minutes remaining to continue the trip. There's 166, 171. So there we go, max charge speed. Gonna go into navigation. It's saying a 40-minute charge stop in Ardmore. And I'm gonna put in this Buc-ee's here. If I charge there, boom. And now I'm going to, now it's a 20-minute stop there. So that took off 20 minutes, 9:57. So putting in the stop at Buc-ee's, we take off 10 minutes there for a 10-minute stop. That's gonna be faster. It's gonna get us home 8 minutes sooner. So that's gonna be the play. When we stopped at this store on the way out to Missouri, I didn't know the name of it. It's called Homeland. And it is a pretty nice little store. It's got a kitchen and barbecue. I don't know if we're gonna get food here or if we'll wait till we get food in Ardmore. Got Rachel over there with the dog. Literally looked a minute ago and it said 5 minutes, but I got a message that said enough to continue the trip. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit okay. We'll get to the Ardmore, Oklahoma with 16% in the battery. The Ardmore, Oklahoma supercharger. So we're packing up our dog's water. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug. We're at 59% on the battery and taking our sunshade out of the window, and we're on the way to Ardmore, Oklahoma.
We're at 16%.
16%, which is exactly what it said we'd have when we left Oklahoma City.
All right.
I mean, gotta get 19% just to make it to that Buc-ee's. So let's go ahead and get plugged in.
All right.
Sun is going down, parked in a bit of a shady spot, sharing the charger with a couple of Model Ys. Version 3. And we're plugged in. Blue lights. And we're charging. So let's check on our charge speed. It says 9 minutes remaining to continue the trip. There we go, there's 171 kilowatts. It says 9 minutes to go till we restart. Now, we did stop about 25 miles ago because Fiona needed dinner and she needed a drink and she needed to kind of relieve herself. And if you're on a road trip with the dog and the dog needs to do that, you stop. So I just discussed with Rachel, who knows, it says it would be nice to skip this Buc-ee's in Fort Worth, but we may need a potty break between here and there since our last one was 20 minutes ago. There we go. We have enough energy to continue on your trip. I'm gonna hit okay, just got the notification on my watch. Half an hour we'll be at our charge limit. We'll arrive at the Buc-ee's with 15%, so I'm gonna go ahead and unplug. And it is time to go.
Okay, come on, pup. Let's go. Come on.
Next stop, the very familiar Buc-ee's on the north side of Fort Worth, Texas. We still have between 120 and 130 miles to go. We've gone 1,335 miles so far on this total trip. But we're running out of daylight and figured that we'd kind of do some thoughts on the road trip while you can still see us. we've got one more charge stop, so this isn't the end of the video. We'll get to that charge stop, and at that charge stop in post-production, I'll put up all the stats for the whole trip. But Rachel, how do you think the day has gone?
Really smooth. I thought it was great. I mean, the only unplanned things that happened were the dog needed a break. Again, this happened on the trip up as well. She just got a little whimpery and wanted us to pull over. So in this case, it was her dinner time. So we gave her dinner. We didn't have a dinner break ourselves. We had a big enough lunch. We really weren't hungry.
Yeah, we'll probably be fine until we get home, and we've got snacks if we need them.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been comfortable. We've been listening to an audiobook, and yeah, really nothing to report.
The car has been very quick at these charging stops. We haven't really had to do much waiting for the car. In fact, we've had to kind of hurry up with what we're doing so the car's not waiting on us. Right. I feel like I'm rushing on this trip.
Yeah, we're rushing to keep up with the car is what's happening.
But we mainly wanted to know how many miles we could comfortably do in a day. When we do this road trip in a couple of months, we want to do 700 miles on the first day so that we don't have as far to drive on the second day.
Right.
So we want to go more than halfway by at least 100 miles. This is going to be close to 700, and it looks like it's going to take us around 11 hours-ish. I'll put the final stats up in post-production when we wrap up our final charge stop coming up. And really, I think we can pull that off. I think we can add a couple of hours to that.
Think that's okay?
And be okay.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it'll be a long day, but it's not completely out of the realm.
It will be a long day, and I'll have to be sure I get some good sleep the night before.
Yeah.
Instead of sleeping in a tent the night before. But if I can do this after sleeping in a tent, we should be okay. And this is, with our dog along for the ride.
Right. She takes a little extra time. She's a very good traveling companion. She's mostly extremely happy to just sleep on our laps in the car. She's completely fine. But we did have to make an extra stop for her both directions. And
when it comes to our other stops, we have to tag team going into the restrooms, etc. So
right. So
one of us is always outside with her.
When we do a trip when she's not with us, we'll be able to go a little faster.
We won't feel like we're rushing as much.
Right.
Yeah. So we are 77 miles away from what's going to be our final charging stop on this trip, and that's going to be about 40 or 50 miles from home. We're going to give you some more B-roll going over the border into Texas, and get our last charging stop, and I'll give you all the stats once we're done. We're at 12%. So let's go ahead and get plugged in. Got some good lighting here at least. Started today charging at a Buc-ee's. Finished today charging at a Buc-ee's. Something not right here. There we go. Blue light, blue light, blue lights. Green light, charging. 52 kilowatts, 70, 88, 107. We should get up to 170 because we're in the magic spot. There it is, 171 kilowatts. 4 minutes to continue the trip. Right now it says we'll get home at -6%, -5%, and at this speed it'll get there quick. 1,417 miles so far on the trip, 44 miles to go. So that's going to be 1461, I'm going to guess, but I'll know for sure when we get home. When we made our introduction video of when we got this car, some of you commented that the drama will be gone from our charging stops, and today has proven that. This is just going to be a few minutes. It's already calculating as though it's finishing up. I should be getting the message here any moment. Yep, and there it is. You have enough energy to continue your trip. I'm going to hit OK. It says we'll have 10% when we get home. I may want that to go to 15 a little bit. May give it another minute or two. We're at 133 kilowatts is what we're still getting, so we're charging up pretty quick. So we'll unplug here in a minute. This is what it looks like when it's not the middle of the day, not super crowded, so that's good. We just hit 15% estimated time of arrival at home, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug. And that's it for DC fast charging at Tesla Superchargers on this trip. So, how was the trip?
It was a great trip. Very uneventful. The supercharging network makes it really easy, and yeah, we didn't have any drama.
And we've been on the road for 11 hours right now at this point. We still have a little under an hour to go before we're at home. I'm going to put up some of the stats for the total of the trip, put them up to show you our total number of miles, kilowatt hours used, our total amount of time spent at charging stops, and how much money the charges cost us. Now, I'm going to have a video coming out that's going to compare what a Better Route Planner said this would be to what it actually was as that comparison, and I'm also going to do the comparison with the cost for gas in that same video and talk about how crowded these chargers have been. I mean, look at this. It's just totally slammed right now, right? There's not a single other car here charging. There was a Model Y when we got here, but it left after about a minute. So that's our trip.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe for more content. It'll be coming up soon. Thanks again.